Today on Locked On Red Wings, Detroit's offense grows stagnant as they lose both weekend games, and Nate Danielson makes his NHL debut.
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts. Scotty, it was a frustrating pair of losses for the Red Wings on home ice to back-to-back Original Six opponents in the New York Rangers and the Chicago Blackhawks. The Detroit Red Wings scored just one goal in both those games to extend their scoring drought to just 4 goals in the last 4 games. We'll talk about both those games. This is probably going to be one of those recaps where you talk about both games kind of in one because the same frustrations basically occurred in both. There was some lineup changes for Game 2, and we will talk about Nate Danielson making his NHL debut, which is very exciting, but it's definitely overshadowed by the results from the weekend. Before we can get to any of that, though, I got to let you guys know today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Okay, Scotty. Red Wings fall 4-1 and then 5-1 to the New York Rangers and Chicago Blackhawks, respectively, on Friday and Sunday. Like I said, we're going to clump these two games probably together here and talk about them as a whole because it felt like the same game played out twice. Some variance in between them. I thought Red Wings were better on Sunday than they were on Friday for sure. But before I go off on a tangent, Scotty, what's your difference maker for the weekend?
Honestly, I think there's two just painfully obvious difference makers, and neither are a specific player. But I think there's two areas that just blatantly are the reason that they lost this game. And I know we talked about it before we hit record, so I know we have the same two. I guess I'll just we can just flip a coin on who talks about which one. I sound like a broken record, man, and we've talked about it so much. The lack of finishing that this team has at the moment is staggering. Like they had 45 shots on net or something ridiculous on Sunday, and had one goal, and the one goal was like Larkin was falling backwards and a defender helped kick it in.
But see that Larkin goal, sorry to cut you off so quickly and early on in this episode, but that one goal is exactly how they need to be scoring goals. Larkin went to the net and crashed the net for the rebound and battled through to get contact and stick on it to bury the puck, which is it. Outside of that, they have not been doing. Anyways, continue.
No, I mean, you're right. I also think there's also a massive lack of just good shooting. Good shooters. How about that? Because
accurate shots.
I think that Friday was, New York played good defensively and they didn't get a ton of necessarily super high danger opportunities, but they had a handful of high danger opportunities on Sunday, man. They had quite a few and did not come through with literally any of them. And the biggest one obviously is Patrick Kane has the puck on his stick with no goalie in net and they don't score there. It's an issue. I don't really know how else to articulate it. It's an issue. And when you look up and down the lineup, the reason why I say, maybe they just don't have great shooters is when you look up and down the lineup, who are you anticipating to turn it around in that regard, right?
Right.
Obviously, you think Larkin is going to have 30-plus goals. He's been a shoo-in for that for a few years now when healthy. DeBrincat, you presume, is going to, turn his low shot percentage around. Kane will provide a little bit of goals himself, but obviously is going to get a lot of setup stuff on the power play. There's Raymond hopefully is a 30-plus goal guy. But like you look at the rest of the lineup, it's like, okay, Comfort's not going to start like just randomly scoring at a high clip. Kopp is not going to start scoring at a high clip. Casper, you don't know for sure if he's going to start putting the puck in the back of the net at a high clip. Danielson's a rookie. JVR's 40. Like, who knows, man? Like, who knows? Like, there might just not be any good, consistent goal scorers and like puck shooters on this team. It might just be a team, and I'm not saying this for certainty either. We're still early in the season. It could turn around, but like they might just be a team that, as you mentioned earlier, they have to just get shots on net and then wreak havoc in front of the net and hope that they get rewarded for it. Because right now it really doesn't look like they have a whole lot of guys on their team that they can lean on for scoring opportunities.
Yeah, it's getting harder and harder to sit here and say that I'm confident the scoring will get turned around because of X, Y, and Z, right? We obviously all saw it. They outshot the Rangers on Friday, although the Rangers did an excellent job of shutting down high danger opportunities. Sure, yeah. Almost all of the Red Wings, a lot of the Red Wings opportunities came along the perimeter. Yeah, against Chicago, they outchanced the Chicago Blackhawks 27-13 at 5-on-5. 27-13. And in all the most important situations and chances they had, they either bobbled the puck or missed the net. I mean, I don't know. That's another thing, too. Is I don't know how many times I saw the Red Wings make a pass, and then the receiver of the pass just absolutely bobbles the opportunity in that game, especially the game against the Blackhawks, but the Rangers as well. And then, you pointed it out, too. Emmett Finney missed several opportunities from the slot. DeBrincat missed several opportunities from the slot. Casper hit the crossbar.
Casper goes bar up instead of bar down. Yeah.
Right. And there's so many chances in all of these games. The Patrick Kane, as you pointed out, the no goalie in net. And yes, I know Jonathan Quick hooked Kane's stick there, but you got to muscle through that. And you have the puck right there. You got to find a way to get that in the back of the net. I can't excuse not scoring there. I cannot find a way to do it. And it's just becoming increasingly harder and harder to sit here and express that I think that, the shoe's going to drop. And at some point, the Detroit Red Wings will start scoring. And I do still believe they will because, they put it up on the broadcast in the third period that in the last 90-plus shots, they are shooting 2%. Like, eventually, it's going to fall back the other way.
That's
right.
That's wild.
So, I do firmly believe that they're going to start scoring more goals because it's physically impossible to get this many opportunities and not score throughout an NHL season. But I'm starting to doubt is the amount it will rebound. We sat here a week ago talking about how the best might yet be to come because of the fact that they came away from the West Coast road trip 3-2 winning when they still weren't scoring. Well, now they're not scoring and they're not winning either. So they got to figure out, it's not that this scoring thing is new. It's not the last 3 games. Like, they have been struggling to convert for a while. And now it's starting to actually cost them games. So I don't know a better solution besides hit the net. Like, honest to God, hit the net and put traffic in front of the goalie. Because that's the thing is, Soderblom made 44 saves. This might have been the easiest 44 save performance I've ever seen from a goaltender. Because every shot was right in his chest and nobody got in front of him to make sure he couldn't see. Like, there are certain things that this team does well. Possess the puck, forecheck, get lots of shooting opportunities. But what they do not do well is crash the net and screen the goalie. Their one goal in this game came from Dylan Larkin crashing the net. So it's just, they're obvious things. They're simple things. They just don't do them well, and it's costing them games. Scotty, we have a whole other difference maker to get to. It's the obvious one. It's special teams. I'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in segment 2 of Lockdown Red Wings, so stay tuned for that. You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed sponsored job posts put up your post at the top of the page and help you reach the right candidates faster. Maybe the Detroit Red Wings can use Indeed to hire somebody who can put pucks in the back of the net. I've used Indeed before, and it definitely did help to staff the team store at LCA as we were revving up coming out of COVID, trying to open back the store for lots of fans, and Indeed made life a lot easier. Now you can speed up the hiring process with a $75 sponsored job credit. Just go to Indeed.com/lockdown right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, Indeed, is all you need.
Indeed it is.
Scotty, the Red Wings special teams was putrid this weekend, and the power play that was already beginning to scuffle with Kane out has not gotten any better with Kane back, and the penalty kill that was top 10 in the league is now 15th in the league after allowing 3 shorthanded goals. I'm sorry, not 3 shorthanded goals, 3 penalty kill goals on Sunday. So, what was the number I said before we hopped on here? They're 1 for 6 on the penalty kill and 0 for 9 on the power play over these last 2 games.
I think it was just over the weekend, yeah.
Well, that's the thing is, as the Red Wings played really well on Sunday at 5-on-5, and I do truly mean that. They played really well at 5-on-5. They just could not score. I could not say the same thing about the special teams. The power play could not establish the zone, and the penalty kill, and part of this is on John Gibson too, but the penalty kill could not stop a puck. That was the worst special teams I've seen from Detroit, even worse than the New York Rangers game, honest to God, where they still weren't even very good in that one. The special teams won the day for the Chicago Blackhawks in a game where the Red Wings were the better team for the other, 50 minutes that were at 5-on-5.
Yeah, this was an interesting one because, you're right. I mean, the penalty kill looked like it did for a lot of last year. And that's obviously something we cannot revert back to. And if that happens again, then, I mean, yeah, the season's going to get put in hot water really quickly. I think the power plays perspective, yeah, like Patrick Kane returns and there's not a whole lot being added, which is, and like I think long term, it's obviously still much more beneficial, and I'm sure that won't last. But yeah, Patrick Kane returns and the offense goes, or in the power play rather, still goes over on the weekend. That is just, those are mind-boggling numbers. On Sunday, the Blackhawks power play went 3 for 3, and the Red Wings went 0 for 5. That was just Sunday, dude. And wouldn't you know it, it was a 3-goal game. So, and one of those was an empty netter. So literally every single goal outside of the empty netter that Chicago scored was through the power play. And I think that another huge impact, I guess I'll say, on the success of that, there was another penalty to start a game. Stop, dude. What is happening? Why do we have a penalty in the first 45 seconds of every single game played now? It is infuriating. And like, thankfully, you know, the one goal that the Red Wings scored, they answered, you know, the bell relatively quickly there after they allowed that goal. But like,
they did that on Friday too.
And down 1-0 then, like 70 seconds into the game. Like that just, you cannot do this, play horrible until we have to, you know, gimmick for the entire season. Like you're gonna have to actually iron it out. And I think that obviously being on the penalty kill in the first minute of play so like weirdly often over the last couple of weeks certainly doesn't help the already struggling special teams.
Well, and it's very obvious too that teams have figured out the Red Wings power play formula, because you saw it with Chicago really well. They put 2 men on the carrier, the guy carrying the puck across the blue line, every single time, and snuffed it out upon entry. And the Rangers were doing the same exact thing. At the time, I just chalked it up to, okay, Rangers and Vegas are 2 of the best defensive teams in the NHL. So maybe that's just a tough opponent. But then the Blackhawks did that. And then you look at when they do establish the zone, teams know that the Red Wings are going to do one of two things on the power play. It's either go to Larkin on the bumper for the quick shot or try to go backdoor. And they get stoned every single time. So, I mean, and by stoned, I mean the play gets stopped every single time. At a certain point, it's just pure frustration. And I don't know. I go back to what I said last segment, where I believe that obviously they're going to start scoring goals again, right? You're not going to continue to shoot this low of a team percentage all year long. I mean, Larkin's a 30-goal scorer. Raymond's a 30-goal scorer. DeBrincat's a 40-goal scorer. You know, I think Kasper's got 20-plus in his system. Kane's got 20-plus in his system. Like, there are goal scorers on this team, but right now, especially after Larkin, who did score on Sunday, but after Larkin has relatively cooled off, nobody is finding the back of the net, and it's been a problem at 5-on-5 and on the special teams. And let's talk about notable performers now, Scotty, because we were talking about special teams, and I kind of hinted at it there. John Gibson was awful in the game on Sunday. He made a really big save on, I think it was Murphy. I think it was Murphy on the breakaway early against the Rain. It was more early against the Blackhawks, like back-to-back saves. He made the first save, and then he had to scramble to make the second save on that breakaway. It was a great play. But outside that, and this is where the special teams element comes in, at least two of the three, if not all three of those, are stoppable pucks by John Gibson. And I say maybe three, because the first goal he allowed to Connor Bedard has one of the sickest snapshots in the league.
He's also he's adjusted to the NHL and is turning into what, everyone kind of knew he was going to be. Yeah.
A little part of me is like, not going to get too heated about that one. But the next two goals that came, the Teravainen one, and I know there was the missed call, whatever. It happens. There's also some really soft calls, like the double minor on Bertuzzi. The Teravainen goal and the Bertuzzi goal on power plays 2 and 3, they just got through Gibson. Like, Gibson has to make saves in that. And remember, Gibson was, along with Cam Talbot, they were two of the worst goalies on the penalty kill last season. And early this year, it felt like things were pointing in the right direction. They could still be. These are one game for both these guys, because Talbot didn't necessarily play great in the game against the Rangers either. But Gibson in particular could not make a save on the penalty kill in this game against the Blackhawks. It was brutal. Gibson, who had just had a nice bounce-back game, did not perform well in this one.
For sure, yeah. And I mean, I think there's a bigger picture conversation in terms of, like, are you concerned about the goaltending or about, like, Gibson being the 1A that he was traded to be or not? I think that's more of a conversation for, like, later in the week when we have an off day or something. But I feel like we have talked about the shortcomings in net far more than we've talked about, like, great performances in net. And this is not the fault of the goalies, but when you are in a situation where nobody on your team can finish, the margin of error just becomes significantly higher. And, like, you have a lot less room for these kind of performances when you know that, your offense isn't going to get, some of the soft goals back or the quick goals back. So, it was obviously a really rough game for him. I thought he looked pretty slow in between the pipes there. But, as you said, his 2 games ago, he was phenomenal. So we'll see what happens the rest of the week.
All right. Scotty, let's head to another break. When we return, we will talk about Nate Danielson's NHL debut, because you would hope something of that magnitude would be the leading story. But with back-to-back losses and amidst a terrible scoring drought, unfortunately, not everyone NHL debut becomes a fairy tale ending or beginning. So we will talk about Nate Danielson's sudden call-up and his debut here in segment 3. Stay tuned to Locked On Red Wings. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making the late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, Scotty. Nate Danielson made his NHL debut on Sunday, a move that shocked the Red Wings fandom because it came, the official announcement came around 11 o'clock in the morning, and the day before they were practicing with normal NHL lines. I think a lot of people were like kind of gobsmacked that it occurred and that he was playing just hours later, centering the third line for the Detroit Red Wings. So,
yeah, we talked about it at the end of last week, right? I just immensely favor and am in favor rather of this. I support so much for a team that is having a hard time putting the puck in the back of the net. Not that Danielson is like a sniper, like a 40-plus goal scorer ceiling, but like to add offense and to add playmaking and to add that two-way game that he has been advertised as having, I would much rather him be in the lineup and being up the middle on the third line than really anybody else on the roster at the present moment. So I am totally in favor of it. Obviously, as you mentioned, not a very romantic start in terms of the results of this game, but I'm glad that they did it, and I hope they continue to do it.
Yeah, he ended up playing 15 minutes of ice time, 3:30 on the power play, immediately inserted onto power play unit 2 with Emmett Finney, Axel Sandin Pellikka, and Marco Kasper. And James Van Riemsdyk to kind of break up the age right there. Albert Johansson as well. So you had a ton of players that were super young on that line, 2022, 2 2023, 3 2023 draft picks on one power play unit altogether. He struggled in the faceoff dot, 2 for 8. That's kind of expected when you're a rookie making your debut as a center going against NHL vets to struggle a little bit in the faceoff dot. But I liked his debut. I thought he showed a lot of what makes him, a good hockey player. He doesn't give up on pucks. He forechecks hard. He battles in the corners. He plays a good defensive game. And, his offensive line, here's the thing, too, is like every single offensive line in this game at 5-on-5 played well. I thought every single time each line was out there that they had the opportunity to be the better team. Not a single one of these forward lines, and this comes even after they switched Finney and DeBrincat on lines 1 and 2, had a Corsi percentage, a shot attempt share under 50%, under 60%. Each forward line in this game had a shot attempt share over 60% because the Red Wings were the better team at 5-on-5 like on Sunday, but again, could not score. But again, I digress. Nate Danielson, I thought, did exactly what we wanted, right? Like it was, you looked at that lineup and Kasper getting moved to the wing was a little bit of I wouldn't call it a surprise actually, because he has been struggling at center on line 2. But I thought
not only that, but you also anticipate that a line, even if it is with Comfer up the middle, that the DeBrincat and Cat line is going to be able, the DeBrincat and Kane line is going to be able to produce offensively no matter who's up the gut, right? Like that's the assumption. So I totally agree with that decision too. I think that was good thinking. And then, as you mentioned, maybe an opportunity for him to get going as well.
Well, I thought Comfer did a nice job on centering the second line between Kane and DeBrincat / Kane and Finney in this hockey game. And I was a little nervous about putting him there because he hadn't been playing well in the third line, but he kind of stepped into that role. And that forward line, the second line, had 11 shot attempts, 4 and 6 against at 5-on-5 when they were together. But JT Compher himself, when JT Compher was on the ice, the Red Wings generated 25 shot attempts for and just 9 against for 73% shot attempt share. So, and I mean, that sounds really, really good, and it is really, really good, but there wasn't a single Red Wing below 50% in this hockey game. Sure. Like the Red Wings just were putting everything on that against Arvid Soderblom, but not everything was quality, although they had a ton. But back to Danielson, it was a good game, and I like the flexibility. I was, for the first time in a long time, was like, I like our center depth. It was Larkin, Comfer, Danielson, and Kopp. And Kopp, I thought, made the fourth line a lot better because Rasmussen wasn't in the lineup or wasn't on center. Like, they scratched him in Berggren, but I thought Kopp made the fourth line better. And it's just like, it's really hard to talk positive because they just could not score again. But the structure of those 4 forward lines is a lot better with Danielson here, in my opinion.
For sure. Yeah, I completely agree.
You would hope so because he's a 9th overall pick.
Right. Yeah, that's. I think the moving on from Danielson, but I think the biggest, and maybe this is like an off-day conversation more so too, but since the end of the 5-game winning streak, okay, so they lose on opening night, then they win 5 straight. Since then, they are 4-6 and have been outscored 26-37. And that's a 10-game sample size, which is much bigger than the first 6-game, obviously, sample. And I wonder. It's really, I guess, what I'm thinking. Like, that is a bigger sample size of sub 500 hockey than the really good hockey that we saw for the first, well, not even really opening night, but in that winning streak. And I guess that's an arbitrary starting point. They're still 9-7 on the season, and that's ultimately all that matters. But even if the goal scorers were expecting to score, rebound, I am just so far from convinced that they have scoring outside of those 3 or 4 guys to maybe keep this thing above water. And that, along with the questionable goaltending and everything else we've talked about, I think there's still just a lot that needs to be ironed out, and I think that's where a lot of the concern is.
Yeah, I can't disagree. It's a frustrating pair of games. They're on a 3-game losing streak now. So this is why we tend to, obviously we react after every single game, so our emotions, mine in particular, obviously are going to be mirrored by whatever I just watched on the ice.
For sure.
But bigger picture-wise, and this is why these off-day episodes are so good, is that it's still early, and that the first real benchmark in the NHL season is 20 games or Thanksgiving, depending on who you ask. So,
who's Thanksgiving, though?
Huh? Well,
who's
American
Thanksgiving?
American Thanksgiving. And that's because there are ebbs and flows, right? You're going to have 5-game winning streaks, and then you're going to have 3-game losing streaks.
Yeah.
So here's the thing is you got to be able to stop it in its tracks here. You have 3 days off. The Red Wings have 3 days off. They don't play again until Thursday when they play. Actually, they actually play Anaheim on Thursday. They did not play Anaheim on Sunday like we previewed on Friday. That was my bad. My brain just skipped right to the next game.
We don't have to do a preview today because...
Well, we wouldn't do a preview today for a game on Thursday anyway.
Yeah,
nope, still wouldn't be tomorrow.
They don't play till Wednesday?
Thursday, dude. They don't play till Thursday. It is 3 off days in a row.
Awesome.
Yeah, so you can tell who looks at the schedule here, and you can tell who misread the schedule.
What, neither of us?
I misread the schedule.
Yeah, you can't get the teams right, and I don't know when they play. So we're together. We really have a good grasp on the season.
All right. But things will be better. They'll win games again. It's just frustrating in the moment because they cannot score. They got to figure that out. And I'm going to be here crying about it until they do. Scotty, any final thoughts?
We ball, baby.
We do ball. We'll be back. Oh, look at that. We just finished recording exactly at 4:25, right at kickoff. That's wonderful.
It's a beauty.
It's a beauty. We did get a win today. It's a small win, but that's the win. Well, that and Danielson getting called up. That was a huge win.
Well, unless the Lions lose, then...
Well, yeah. Then it's just step back down to 1 win again. I was freaking out at tea times when you texted me that Danielson got called up. You have no idea. I was like, I was like, no way. And I was like,
Well,
my
I
buddies,
do have an idea because you called me immediately after I sent the text.
well, I wasn't home. I couldn't do the social graphic.
I
was
didn't
like,
say there was a problem with it. You just said you have no idea. It's like, actually, I do. You were screaming in my ear. Yeah, I'm aware.
Well, I was with my buddy, and he's like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? I was like, Nate Danielson just got called up. He goes, who? Because he's not a hockey fan. I'm like the one person in this tea time who knows who Nate Danielson is because nobody follows the Detroit Red Wings outside of our. Oh, man. If it's not football, it's not nothing in this town sometimes. All right.
Hey,
Speaking
man,
of football, let's go watch it.
Those Pistons, too, tonight.
Dude, I know. Let's go. Scotty, did you already say we ball? Say it again.
I did. Let's do it.
All right. We'll be back with a new episode tomorrow. Same time, same place. It's your team every day.